Hi there. Welcome to another After School Tech Tips with the Tips team. My name's Bernice, and let's talk about passwords. All right, so as you can see here, we're going to be talking about password best practices. So I'm going to go through a few things that you probably already know. But first of all, remember that strong passwords are long, hard to predict, but easy to remember. Don't share your password with anyone. And if you have a bunch of different accounts, it is important to make sure that there's different passwords for each account. That way, if someone gets the password to one account, they can't access all of your accounts. Now, passwords can have letters, numbers, special characters, and capitals, which is really good for complexity. But did you know that the most important thing about the password is actually length? So, in other words, that means that if you have an 8-character password that has a bunch of special characters, letters, and numbers, that might be great for complexity. But a 15-character password that's just nothing but, letters, and, capital letters and lowercase letters, that would actually be better than a 8-character one with all of those different pieces to it. So that then leads me to passphrases. So passphrases are a great way to create length in your password to make it easy to remember. So what a passphrase is it means to put a phrase or a sentence essentially as your password. And so you can even sometimes have spaces in your passwords. So check it out the next time you go to a website and you're changing your password. See if you can add spaces in. Some websites will let you, some websites won't. But some websites for passwords will let you have those spaces in it. And then it's a really nice way to really put in a sentence all in its entirety. So I want to go through a few password examples. So the first one I have here is Canada 1. So here's a classic password. You can look at it right now and ask yourself, is this one that is, a good password? Now, it might be really easy to remember, but it's really, really short and it's super easy to guess because it's using just a word and then one number, right? These are things that are really common in passwords. So you might have seen passwords then something like this, which is a little bit better, but although it's longer and complex, and in that sense it's a good thing, this is a really hard password to remember. So this is again where passphrases come in. And so here we have a sentence. My 2 sandwiches were eaten by a hippo, exclamation mark. And this one is easier to remember. It is long and complex, and it doesn't necessarily have a ton of different special characters in it, but you have an exclamation mark, you could have put in a period or a question mark or anything like that. Now, when you're working with students, there are a few strategies to this. It's important for students to understand the value of keeping their passwords safe and secure and how they can do so responsibly. So, working with students, you're really working them to a point of independence, letting them know that they shouldn't be sharing their password. Of course, making sure that, if someone's staring right at them while they're typing in their password, to, let the other person know not to look or shield it so that the other person can't see the password. We do have a whole list or a whole lesson on this. So our tips resources, we do have password lessons and co-taught video lessons that you can use immediately with your class. So I'll show you where to get those. If you head to tips.epsb.ca, you're going to land in on this website here. And when you land on this website, you can go to digital citizenship, click on cyber safety for students, and you're going to see our passwords lessons right here. There are lesson plans, pre-recorded password lessons, the presentations in a Google slide, as well as just general information on best practices as well. So feel free to go ahead and check those out. And that really helps then, again, with making things age appropriate when you're talking to your students. The way you would work with your students to set up a password in grade 1 or grade 2 is going to be different from setting it up with them in grade 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If your students do need to write it down, make sure that the passwords are stored in a safe place and locked away, and that only that one student can see that password when you do hand out that password, right? Making sure that no passwords are being shared with one another. And say the student does go and forget their password, you can always go ahead and reset the password. And when you're resetting the password, you can work with your students to come up with creative methods for their new password. So, for example, have them connect it to something personal so that it's memorable for them. You can connect it to a story for them, maybe visual imagery, something that really helps them remember that password. Now, although I've said to connect it to something personal, it is important to make sure that it's not something everyone would know. So stay away from including the name or an address or a birth date or even their pet name in there. If it's something that people can easily guess or people might easily know, those are things that you won't want to put in the password. But as long as it's something that's memorable for them, that's the most important. Please check out our channel, check back for weekly videos, and connect with your TIPS member. The website I was just talking about is right there. That's tips.epsb.ca. Thank you so much. Take care.